Real Life Radio presents Catholic psychiatrist Dr. Michelle Fiorella, reflecting and exploring the connection of Sunday's liturgy and how that message applies to our often seemingly out-of-control lives. And now, Dr. Michelle.
And welcome back. This is Dr. Michelle. We're looking at the fifth Sunday of Lent, April 6th. Okay, that escaped me. We're looking at the fifth Sunday in Lent. And also I want to say, and this is important too in thinking about this is also when the catechumens are introduced to all of us, and we're all happy and we're all there and we're all supportive. But I think it's also a really good time to remember that we're always catechumens, we're always students, we're always wondering, we're always not knowing, we're always new. This is all about renewal, resurrection, the R-E, to something, to rewind, renew, redo. These are all re-words, and so it's really regarding. It's all about knowing that we regenerate continually. We are hardwired to regenerate, and this is both spiritually, physically, emotionally, any way you can think of, mentally. So when we have these things inside of us, we will have things that we will all die. We all do. And there are reasons, even when I look at, as I said, the anniversary of my grandson's death, 3 days old, we don't even know the reason. There was a reason. He's not here. So people do die. People do get sick. Things happen. It's true. We looked at these gospel, the one with the man born blind, I think it was last Sunday. Look at that, and what was the first question that everyone asked him, that his own disciples who'd seen and heard Jesus every single day said, well, who sinned? Who sinned? His mom? His dad? Or did he sin to make him this way? Whose fault is it? Somebody caused this. And then also they thought, is it a possession of a spirit, of a demon? We look at Job, his own wife, you must have done something wrong because you must have made a pact with the devil somehow, because look at you, you're a mess. And so it was a common thing to think, and we think, oh, well, we're beyond that now. We're not beyond that. People think that all the time. Oh, you must have done something wrong, or you didn't do it this way, or you're dysfunctional. Well, we're all dysfunctional. So we sometimes look at ourselves and we're so harsh and so critical. We don't give time for nature to work, for God to work. We don't give our God and ourselves enough credit. And what I mean by ourselves is that on the macro sense, we know that if we eat something bad, we're going to get sick, we're going to throw up, and that's going to be it, and we know we're going to get sick. And so it's a big sense. If we do something big, if we stub our toe, it's going to bleed, we're going to see it. But what we don't see, even though we can learn about it, we can learn about what they know so far, it's amazingly simple for being so amazingly complicated. These little tiny little steps in regeneration. Every time you get a cut and your skin grows back, you are regenerating. You're becoming anew. Even though it's you, even though you may have a scar, even though if you went out in the sun, there are brown spots on you that because you went out in the sun 20 years ago, and over time, the regeneration, the replication of your skin cells replicates the error or the mistake from the radiation. This stuff hurt. You don't get to be like brand new baby every time, but you do regenerate. You keep going. Your liver regenerates, and now they see the brain cells regenerate. We are hardwired to regenerate, to make anew. So if we have that faith and we instill that knowledge in ourselves, that is the beginning. That is one of the first seeds to be able to actually open our hearts to the true belief. That wasn't just then. When Jesus had Lazarus rise from the dead. That's now. That is now. Now, how can I say that? I mean, I prayed that same thing for my grandbaby. You rose Lazarus from the dead. I know it's beyond all medical possibility. But please, if you can, do this. But I kind of try to remember to add in, but if it's your will. And will, again, it's not, oh, I want you to do this or I want you to do that. I think God's will is softer than that. It's bigger than that. It's way more mysterious than that. So we have no way of knowing what it is in the huge picture of all millennium. You look at the Old Testament, and so begat so-and-so begat so-and-so over hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, who eventually begot King David. And we know where the rest of the story goes. So the person at the top of the genealogical tree can't possibly foresee 2,000 years or 1,000 years and know exactly what's going to happen, nor can we. And we like to comfort ourselves. I like to comfort myself by saying, well, maybe it was because of this, maybe because of that. That's a nice comfort. We don't know. I don't know. But I have to know that there's a regeneration, a rebirth, a resurrection from the dead. Now, did it happen with a particular person? No. I've had family members die way too young, should not have died at that point in terms of what I think. But the fact is that he tells us in this gospel, he tells us all throughout, tells us in the Old Testament, I raise people from the dead. I will raise you from the dead. And we have to be very careful not to ever think, well, it happened because I wasn't good enough. It happened because there wasn't enough faith. I had someone ask me about even my own grandbaby, well, do you think it's because they didn't have enough faith or they didn't have a belief in God? And the answer, of course, is no. Of course not. Would you do that to your own children? Really? Would you take your child and say, because you didn't believe enough or you weren't good enough or you didn't think enough, I'm going to, do something horrendous to you? No, 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 no. There are things that we can bring on ourselves. We smoke, we're gambling that we're going to have lung cancer. We drink too much, we get in a car, we're gambling that we're going to harm someone else or ourselves. But we go out to the grocery, we breathe in the air, and we get strep throat, whooping cough, we get something like that. We didn't necessarily bring it upon ourselves. So we have to kind of be very careful not to be judge and jury of everything that happens to us or in the world, and not to play God for God. Not to decide that we didn't have enough or someone else didn't have enough or someone else is more holy, someone else deserves more, someone else, try to implant in for God why we experience things in our life. Why do our brothers die? My brother died. He died too young, in my estimation. But, it's like Mary and Martha. They had a brother and his name was Lazarus. Why did he die? What happened? Why did the centurion's daughter die? She was a little girl. He brought them back. He said they're just sleeping, or knowing that at any time he could have intervened, but it didn't happen. We need these things. We need these realities to know we are born in the natural world, and the natural world has with it natural consequences. So that's why when someone makes a decision to take a big risk, and sometimes the risk doesn't work, and we have accidents and we have things that happen. So not that any of this is very comforting when it comes time to feeling your own acute pain or your own misery. When you're in the middle of it and you're crying or you're spilling your guts out and one little tiny thing can tip you over the edge. Happened to me. So many things were happening. I back out of my garage and the mirror hits the side and I lost it. I just lost it. I sat there. I just lost it. I cried and I cried. It's just my side view mirror. And I could actually pop it back in. But I couldn't at that moment. It was the cumulative effect. I was holding it together as best I could in life with all the stuff that I either could or couldn't do anything about, blaming myself plenty for certain things that were happening in my own life. And I'm backing out just so I could go get some milk or yogurt or something, and boom. And it was nothing. I could fix it in a second. And I sat there in my driveway and I just cried and cried and cried and cried. So we find ourselves in these positions all the time. It's that one little proverbial thing. Or sometimes, sadly, you go in to get your cup of coffee and that one person just says the wrong thing and they get your lifetime, in that moment. So I've even had to apologize sometimes when I'm talking to a customer service person and say, I know my voice sounds like I'm really mad at you, but I'm really not. And I'm sorry you have this job, but this is where I've been so far. And you're the last person on the line to hear this. So I do sound a little upset. So we have to remember and give ourselves a little bit of a break, give others around us a break, give ourselves a little bit of humor. Humor is a beautiful thing. God is just fills our life with humor all the time. We just go to the zoo and look at the otters play, and we're going to laugh. They're going to give us humor. God gives us this beautiful earth to help us rebalance, again, resurrect the beauty that we bury with our own downcast eyes, with our own burdens in our own lives, with our own decisions. It is this way. It'll never get any better. I should have had better parents. I should be a better mother. I should be smarter. I should be prettier. I shouldn't have gained that 10 pounds. All these things, but what happens? It causes us to look downward, instead of resurrecting and looking at the beauty around us, looking at what happens, look at how the sky is filled with clouds, even on a cloudy day, and that is also a form of rebirth and regeneration, reuse. I mean, we're reusing things that happens all the way across the planet and that are coming across our sky at this very moment to do good things all throughout the planet, even though they're kind of cloudy today. So when we come back from the break, we'll look at more at the gospel, more at the readings, and how we can use this in boots in the ground situations. This is Dr. Michelle, and I'll join you after the break.
We'll be back with more on the Dr. Michelle Show on your Catholic station, Real Life Radio.